You need more resources. We got more resources for you.
If you were harassed,
If
you could have called the police.
harassing me, how the hell I call you guys?
You have a cell phone. You could have called 911.
Can I just please check my flight? I do not want to go.
The call came in just after 8:30 a.m. on a quiet Sunday morning. I was halfway through a stale airport coffee scrolling through weekend shift notes when the radio crackled. Unit 12 respond to the Frontier ticket counter. Report of a battery in progress. My partner and I exchanged a look. Battery at the airport at this hour. We were expecting maybe a delayed flight tantrum, not a full incident. But when we pulled up the terminal security feed, we both straightened in our seats. A young woman was standing stiff and defiant in front of the Frontier counter. The employee across from her was visibly shaken, dabbing her shirt with napkins. The woman's hand still clutched a plastic water bottle. Something had clearly just happened. We made it there in under 2 minutes. The terminal buzzed in awkward silence. Travelers were shifting, side-eyeing, pretending not to watch. The woman, early 20s, slender hair pulled into a high bun, didn't flinch as we approached. "Ma'am," I began, "can you explain what happened here?" She didn't hesitate. She wouldn't stop talking. I told her if she kept bothering me, I'd throw this bottle at her head. And I did. Her voice was flat, not threatening, not even remorseful, just matter of fact. The Frontier staff member confirmed it. Said the woman had asked about baggage fees, then lost her temper. Something about $200 for 3 checked bags. Then came the shouting. Then the water bottle. We were no longer talking about an angry customer. This was now a case of assault. And, judging by the way she stared us down, this story was far from over. We stepped aside to talk to the victim, still rattled but steady. She'd been working the check-in desk since 7 p.m. the night before. According to her, the woman had approached with escalating aggression over the baggage fees, asked the same question 3 times, didn't like the answer each time, and finally hurled the bottle uncapped half full but still forceful enough to hit her square in the chest. We had enough to proceed. I turned back toward the woman who hadn't moved an inch, still by the counter, still watching us like we were the problem. "Ma'am," I said calmly, "you are being detained for investigation into a battery charge." That's when the switch flipped. "What, I was being harassed the whole time I was here," she shouted. "Why am I the one going to jail when I'm the one being tormented?" Her voice cracked at the edges now. The defiance was still there, but something more was creeping in. Desperation. I explained again firmly. "Throwing an object at someone is legally considered battery. We understand you may have felt frustrated, but what you did crossed the line." "I didn't even hit her," she snapped. "Okay, maybe I did, but it wasn't that hard. I was just trying to shut her up." That didn't help her case at all. I could feel the terminal watching us more now. Phones were out. The drama had an audience. "You don't get it," she continued, her voice cracking further. "I've been up all night. They kept changing the prices. I was just trying to get on my flight." "Then why escalate?" I asked. She didn't answer that. She just stared off, jaw tight. But the next moment hit differently. Her voice dropped. "I don't want to go to jail. I want to cry. Please. I can't go to jail over this." She was starting to break. Right there in front of the ticket counter, in front of all those strangers. Tears welled up fast, not crocodile tears, not rage, but real panic. The kind of panic that sneaks up when someone realizes there's no more talking their way out. "Please, let me explain it to her," she begged. "Let me say I'm sorry. Just give me 30 seconds. "That's not how this works," I told her calmly. "You're being detained. We'll take your statement, and if she wants to hear your apology, she'll get that option later." She shook her head furiously, but she twisted it. I wasn't trying to hurt her. She stopped, looked around, then said something that caught my attention. "They've been messing with me since 7 p.m. last night. I was here the whole time. They never let me sleep." That didn't quite make sense. The flight wasn't until the next morning. No one books an overnight argument at an airport. "Ma'am," I asked, "why were you at the airport all night?" She blinked, looked away, then finally muttered, "I didn't have anywhere else to go." There it was, the mask slipping. This wasn't just a bad customer having a bad day. This was someone at her limit. "So, you've been here since yesterday?" I pressed. "Yeah," she whispered. "My card was declined at the motel. They kicked me out. I came back here because the flight was this morning." I radioed for a transport unit. Meanwhile, my partner walked over with a clipboard. "We just got the witness statement. Victims pressing charges. And get this, security reviewed the footage. She didn't throw it once. She tried it twice. First time missed. Second time hit her right in the shoulder. So now we weren't dealing with heat of the moment frustration. We were dealing with premeditation, the kind of thing that closes legal doors real quick. That's when I noticed something odd. Her suitcase, the one we'd logged as carry-on, was gone. "Ma'am, where's your bag?" She looked confused for a moment. Then her eyes darted toward a corner bench near the vending machines. Sitting under it, barely visible, was a duffel. Not hers. We both turned toward it. Something didn't add up. I walked over to the bench slowly. The airport was quiet now, just background noise of gates opening and people murmuring through morning routines. But I had tunnel vision. That duffel bag. It didn't belong. Not to her. Not to anyone we'd seen. But it had that look, the forgotten kind. The planted kind. I knelt beside it. "Ma'am," I called out, "you sure that's not yours?" She hesitated. I don't know, maybe. That wasn't the right answer, not when we had a suspect already charged with battery, and now, possibly something else. I put on gloves and unzipped it. The moment it opened, my partner leaned in and let out a quiet whistle. Inside, nothing illegal, but something weird. A stack of printed boarding passes, none of them under her name. 3 prepaid phones, and a zippered folder filled with complaint forms, already filled out. All of them had similar handwriting. All of them accused various airline employees, mostly women, of harassment, rudeness, even physical intimidation. All dated within the last 6 months. All from different airports across the country. "What the hell is this?" I muttered. My partner flipped through one. "Looks like she's been doing this a while. Creating chaos, then trying to file civil claims." He was probably right, but something deeper was gnawing at me. Who keeps pre-filled complaint forms in a duffel bag and leaves it behind? Then the radio crackled. "Dispatch to Unit 14. Be advised, TSA has flagged a matching individual on internal watch list for multiple public disturbances. She's also listed in an open civil case involving Delta Airlines in Atlanta. May be attempting to provoke incidents for legal claims." There it was. A pattern. Not a fluke. Not a bad day. This was her method. She knew exactly what she was doing, I whispered. And now she's just trying to cry her way out of it. I looked back at her. She sat slumped on the bench in cuffs, tears streaking down her face. She saw me watching, and for just a split second, her expression changed. Cold, calculated, no longer panicked. She smirked. "You think I'm the first one," she said. "People sue for hot coffee spills. This is nothing. We called in airport security to secure the bag and start the chain of custody. This was no longer just about a tossed water bottle. It was organized manipulation, intentional provocation across multiple airports. But I still had one question. Why Orlando? Why now? While my partner handled paperwork, I escorted her down to Gate 19, our designated holding zone, before transfer. She kept quiet most of the walk, but her shoulders weren't trembling anymore. She wasn't the sobbing woman from earlier. So I asked, "What's your angle? Lawsuit? You think a settlement's coming out of this?" She looked up. Not scared, not angry, just bored. "Depends who's filming," she said flatly. "Sometimes all it takes is a good headline." Then she winked. That's when it hit me. This entire stunt, every outburst, every accusation was choreographed. She wanted to be arrested. She wanted confrontation because she knew what came next, the viral moment. A social media clip trimmed just right to make her the victim. Throw in a few hashtags, a GoFundMe, and the story writes itself. Suddenly, I remembered a video I'd seen weeks ago. Viral. A woman screaming at an airline agent over baggage fees. It had racked up millions of views. The resemblance, uncanny. I pulled out my phone and searched. Within seconds, I found it. Same gestures, same voice, even the same tactic, a water bottle thrown. The comments under the video, divided, half defending her, half furious, but all engaged. She wasn't just making trouble. She was crafting a brand. "You've done this before," I said quietly. Allegedly, she shrugged. We reached the gate. I radioed dispatch to update charges, battery, disorderly conduct, and fraudulent intent. Then I sat her down and asked one final question. Why fake it? Why risk jail? She looked me dead in the eye. Because outrage pays faster than honesty. That was her truth. And maybe our failure. Because in a world addicted to conflict, she knew exactly how to feed the algorithm and cash in before anyone figured out the scam. By the time we booked her, the clip was already online. Not our clip, hers. Somehow, between being cuffed and escorted out, she triggered her phone's live stream. It was shaky, grainy, mostly audio, but it didn't matter. The first 30 seconds were enough. They're arresting me for asking a question. I'm just a black woman trying to fly home. This is how they treat you when you speak up. No context, no water bottle, no footage of her berating the gate agent. Just tears, a trembling voice, and the phrase racial profiling repeated over and over. It exploded. By the time we processed the report, Sacred Justice for Jade was trending. I opened my phone and scrolled in disbelief. Edits of her arrest were already circulating. One showed me grabbing her arm frozen on a frame where her face looked frightened, vulnerable. No mention of the felony charge. No mention of the threats or the racial slurs she hurled earlier. Corrupt Orlando cops detain young woman over a bottle of water. Read one caption. In less than 6 hours, she'd gone from suspect to symbol. And the real damage was just starting. My supervisor called. Her tone was clipped. You need to come in. Now. IA's looking into it. Internal affairs. Just like that. They weren't mad about the arrest. They were afraid of the optics. We're in damage control. The mayor's office is getting calls. Find the full body cam footage. We need it tonight. I went cold. It was like being pulled into a parallel universe where facts didn't matter, only narrative. And Jade, she was playing both sides like a pro. Even in holding, she was smiling. Her lawyer arrived before the public defender even had time to file. He was wearing a tailored suit and speaking like he'd practiced this defense before. My client was harassed, racially targeted, and emotionally distressed by airline staff and airport police. We will be pursuing civil action. Unreal. I pulled up her digital trail. Turns out Orlando was her third incident. There were 2 others, Charlotte and Phoenix. Both settled. Both with similar headlines. Both with clips cut just short of context. Jade wasn't just chasing clout. She was weaponizing it. I looked at her across the table. Calm, calculating. A woman who knew exactly how far to push the line, just enough to get arrested, but not enough to get convicted. You know, this will fall apart once the full footage is released, right? I said. She leaned back and grinned. Maybe, but by then I'll already have $250,000 in donations and 3 interviews lined up. The next morning, I got a call from the airport's federal liaison. You might want to check this out. Attached was a sealed file. DHS clearance. Not standard for a simple battery case. I opened it. My eyes stopped at the name Jade Montero, a.k.a. Jasmine DeVere, a.k.a. Kendra Lawson. 3 aliases. 3 identities across different states. 3 ongoing investigations. Turns out, Jade wasn't just a social media manipulator. She was part of a growing trend law enforcement calls clash, harvesting people, intentionally staging high-conflict incidents in public spaces, filming partial clips, spinning narratives, and then monetizing outrage. They'd traced one account tied to her to over $180,000 in GoFundMe donations in the last 2 years. I forwarded everything to IA and got the green light release the entire body cam footage. No edits, no music, no subtitles. By noon, it was live. And that's when things started to shift. People saw the real Jade, the verbal abuse, the escalation, the refusal to comply, the moment the water bottle arced through the air and smacked the agent in the face. The mood online different now. Wait, this is what we were defending. She played everyone. The backlash was swift. Pages that had supported her took posts down. Her lawyer pulled out. Public sentiment turned. But Jade, she didn't blink. Sitting in the interview room later that week, she looked straight into the camera and said, I never claimed to be perfect. I'm just a reflection of a system that breaks people. You want someone to blame, start with your badge. And just like that, she tried to reframe it again. A victim of the system, not a manipulator of it. 2 weeks later, we were in court. Jade walked in wearing a charcoal blazer over a bright yellow hoodie that read, I'm the story you hate to love. The local press ate it up. Cameras clicked like popcorn. The prosecutor laid out the facts, the water bottle, the threats, the false claim of harassment. Then came the bombshell, the alias trail, multiple identities tied to similar incidents in Phoenix, Detroit, and Newark. Her public defender tried the emotional route. My client has suffered emotionally and mentally at the hands of both institutions and individuals. Yes, she acted out, but is that not the cry of a woman silenced too long? The jury wasn't buying it. Jade was convicted of battery obstruction and trespassing. She got 14 months probation, 80 hours of community service, and mandatory counseling. Nothing that would ever make headlines. But in the shadows of the courtroom, something bigger was unraveling. One of our cybercrime analysts pinged me. Hey, Jade's GoFundMe withdrawals. They weren't going to her, not directly. Turns out she was just the face. The real orchestrators, a small marketing firm in Jersey digital gorillas who turned human volatility into a revenue stream. Jade was their most effective product. By the time we got warrants, the office was gone. Cleared out. Website down. Phone disconnected. Jade. She walked free that day. She gave a smirk to the cameras and disappeared into a rideshare with tinted windows. I haven't seen her since. But every now and then, a clip goes viral, someone arguing with a gate agent, being dragged out of a fast food joint screaming about injustice. And I wonder, is that her? Or worse, is it someone new following the same script? If this story shocked you, you're not alone. These real body cam moments aren't just about arrests. They're about unraveling truths most people never see. Subscribe to Bodycam Chronicles for more untold stories from behind the badge. What would you have done in this situation? Comment below. And remember, not every villain wears a mask. Some just wear a hoodie and hit record.